listen, if I wanted to really with someone, oh, sorry for my language. If I really wanted to mess with someone,
I mean, you are
I'd do what the
allowed to
book
swear,
suggested.
Steven. It's not like we can't swear. We just bleep it out.
That's true. If I wanted to with Katniss Everdeen, I'd do the White Rose in her bedroom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flip the Scripts. I'm Ankit and Madhira.
And I'm Stephen Nieman.
And this week we have finally made it to the last book of the trilogy, and we are here to talk about Mockingjay Part 1. Ooh.
Part one of one.
In terms of a book, it is just the Mockingjay book. In terms of it being a film and the adaptation, you do have a Part 1 and a Part 2 in the movie world.
Yeah, just so we understand, just so our listeners understand, usually, yes, we do divide the film/book into two parts, and we do it separately. But because Mockingjay decided to cut the book in half and do two different films, we still had problems with it, so we still have 4 episodes.
David!
Hey,
you're not
I gotta be honest
wrong.
with the audience. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that is a big reason of why we were like, maybe we should just leave it as is and just talk about our problems.
Yeah,
They did a couple things well.
Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there. We're not even there yet. We have other introductory stuff to do about Mockingjay, don't we?
We do have a lot of introductory stuff to do about Mockingjay. So, ladies and gentlemen, for context, Mockingjay, the book, was released in 2010. This film came out in 2014. Again, all of the films came out after the original trilogy was complete. So they did know the entire story before they filmed anything. But the film came out in 2014.
Which we've talked about on the podcast a bit, of like knowing the whole story before you finish. So good on them for waiting.
It does help. I also do think, I don't remember when the last Harry Potter film came out, but I think it was like 2011.
Harry Potter started before the books finished, so because she was adding stuff.
Not Harry Potter. Like, I'm saying films. Just the Harry Potter films. Do you remember when the last one came out? Deathly Hallows Part 2?
Before Catching Fire, I want to say.
But maybe after Hunger Games?
Yeah, it's in that time period where it started to really influence a lot of the young adult films, such as Twilight, Hunger Games. Businesses really saw the money that Harry Potter brought in, and they were like, we want that, which is why Hunger Games happened, I think. Not that it's not good enough to be its own adaptation. I think the reason why Hunger Games became such a push, like the young YA novels, was because of Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like Divergent kind of was the next book series, I think, that followed this, to be fair.
I have never read nor seen anything relating to Divergent.
The only thing that brought up Divergent for me, I think it's a trailer on the Mockingjay Part 1 DVD.
Oh, okay, fair. Okay.
For context, ladies and gentlemen, I usually watch it off Amazon because, like, Mockingjay Part 2 is free on Amazon to watch in America.
Oh, Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2 are free for me.
Part 1's not free in America. Part 2's free, but Part 1's not free. I don't get it. I don't know why they did it, but Part 1's not free. So, like, I rented Part 1 to watch, and then, like, I didn't finish it, and I had to go away and do something, and I came back, and it was after my rental period to finish the film. So I was really sad. And then my dad was like, doesn't your sister own the film? So I went through her DVDs upstairs, and there it is, in plain copy, a Blu-ray copy of Mockingjay Part 1. My sister does not own Part 2, so thankfully it's free off Amazon, but she owns Part 1.
Melanie, why do you not have Part 2?
Yeah, Mel. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Come on.
If you saw our last episode, which was about a month ago, we did take a month off to kind of refresh and get better and get good at everything.
Steven, in terms of no, last episode, in terms of the last episode that the listeners would have seen, was last week. The
you're
episode
right.
you're referencing came out last week. We may have recorded that episode 2 weeks ago, but that episode, in terms of the listeners, was last week.
Okay, if you watched last week's episode, my sister was on last week's podcast, and here we are in America. Well, I'm in America. Ankit's still in the UK, recording this podcast still.
Woo! Yeah,
now you're caught up. Cool.
Yeah,
so, book came out in 2008, 10, you said?
2010. Book came out in 2010. Film came out in 2014. Now, a couple of more things about this. The director, same director as we had discussed last time or previously. The same director, it's still Francis Lawrence, and the writers are Peter Craig, Danny Strong, and Suzanne Collins. Again, Suzanne Collins is always going to be a writer. Didn't mean that she necessarily wrote what do you call it? I'm blanking on terminology. Screenplay. Thank you. I should know this, but yeah.
He's an actor, everybody.
Hey, you've casted me in things, and I appreciate it greatly. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I loved working with you, man.
It's a fun time.
It's a good time. I made you wear golden pants.
Hey, I offered to wear them, and you said yes.
You came in with them. That was the best offer you've made as an actor ever.
That's, first of all, insulting. And screw you. Second of all, for context, ladies and gentlemen, we were doing Shakespeare. And
as you do,
and I was playing a male fairy, and I was the only male fairy. So Steven came to me and was like, I want to dress you in something fun that's like fairy-like, but then also like, you are different because you are the only male fairy. And immediately, without missing a beat, I just go, oh, I have a pair of gold tights if you want me to bring them in.
It was glorious, everyone, and it made the whole cast have a lot of camaraderie about loving Ankit's golden pants.
I might have a picture floating around on the internet of me in those golden tights.
Oh, it's on my website, sndirector.com. You can look at the images of Midsummer Night's Dream, and you'll see Ankit in golden pants.
There you go. All right. If we remember, we can also share that on our social media. Just a photo of me in golden pants.
Perfect. Okay, so what's the damage? How much money did they spend? How much money did they make?
What's the damage? Okay, so the budget was between 125 to 140 million US dollars.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
Is that how much did they? Do you have the numbers for Catching Fire? Did they spend more?
I do not have them right off the top of my head, but give me a second, and if you want to talk about something, I can find them real quick.
Yeah, just so you know, we're very curious on like what they spent for this film, because obviously they split it into 2 parts, and we understand they decided, yeah, we're going to do a part 1 and part 2, and one of the things we'll talk about in a future episode, not this episode, but probably the last Mockingjay episode, part 2 of part 2, was a part 1/part 2 needed? So this helps us understand that.
The budget was about the same as the Catching Fire budget.
Okay, fair. So
Catching Fire budget is 130 to 140 million.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Catching Fire was very popular. It had a lot of critic response, so of course they're going to come in with the same budget.
Roughly the same budget. Now, the box office. Oh, they made their money. And I kind of enjoy doing this. You want to take a random guess? I will say they made their money and then some.
Okay. 600 million?
Not too far off. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it is 755.4 million.
Which isn't actually as good, because, the budget is without advertising.
No.
So
yeah, so the budget, or the box office for Catching Fire was 865 million.
So they made less.
Oh, they made a lot less.
Interesting.
They made more than 100 million less. They made about 110 million less, roughly.
So I wonder if the part 1, part 2, we'll talk about that more, of course, in a future episode, push people away from the franchise.
It's very possible.
Cool. All right. So what's the IMDb credit score? What's the IMDb percentage?
The IMDb percentage is a 6.6 out of 10.
Okay. Is that audience or
what's for IMDb? 1 second, I'm looking at the IMDb. So most people gave it about a 7. So 7 and 6 were the two highest in terms of what people rated it. Hence, it makes sense that you got, what you got.
Yeah.
With the 6.6. Makes complete sense. Now, Rotten Tomatoes, which is the one that gives us both of the scores, gives it... Come on. Why? It suddenly stopped loading. Hey. You were just working. I could see you 2 seconds ago. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen.
Tomatoes.
There we go. I fixed the website. Okay, I hit refresh.
He talked to Warner Brothers and he fixed Rotten Tomatoes, everyone.
I did. I fixed the whole scoring system. Look,
he went in and he went.
Big things are coming out of post finale. I'm getting some real sway, as you can tell, ladies and gentlemen. I fixed a website like that. Anyway, so the critic score is 70%.
Okay.
Audience score 71%.
So about even.
So about even over all three of the major things that we look at in terms of reviews.
We'll see if we agree with that after we're done with the film talking.
Do you want a spoiler about that?
Yeah, sure.
No.
Okay, here we are, Mockingjay Part 1. Now, if you've watched our last 4 episodes, you know Ankit and I have talked very highly of Hunger Games as an adaptation. We enjoyed Hunger Games 1, minus the shaky cam. The shaky cam was okay in some parts, and we enjoyed Catching Fire a lot more. We talked about a lot of the reasons why Catching Fire works as an adaptation, and now we're going down the route of Mockingjay Part 1. So this episode is the first quarter of the book / first bit of the film. So just giving a lowdown, like I always do, about what the movie is about. So Mockingjay Part 1. I'm not going to talk about Part 2, everyone. You can come back next week for Part 2. But Katniss Everdeen...
You can come back in 2 weeks for the movie Part 2. You can come back for Part 2 of our discussion on this movie next week.
Yes, that is exactly correct.
It's all very confusing, ladies and gentlemen, but it's not actually that confusing. Words are difficult as well.
Words are hard, everybody. Words are
hard.
So, Katniss Everdeen, the girl who was on fire, is now in District 13. District 13 is leading the revolution against the Capitol. We kind of knew of this, kind of didn't from the last film, but we're learning about what life is like in District 13, and Katniss is going to be the Mockingjay, the symbol of the revolution, and that's basically the whole film. We're gonna talk about more of the film as we go through the rest, but that's all you need to know.
That's it.
You feel like that was good enough, Ankit? Do I need more?
Beautiful. Let's get into this film.
Let's get into it. So the first scene of this film is not in the book. Way to start the film.
We're doing great, ladies and gentlemen. We're already
doing
huge.
So the movie starts with Katniss in a little bunker somewhere in District 13. It looks like she's in a bomb, like an old atomic bomb, like the thing that would shoot the bomb, but it's empty.
Well, that's dark.
A hangar. District 13 is nuclear. Like, that's what they're known for.
Look, you're not wrong. I'm just saying it's dark.
That's what it looks like she's in, all right? Okay, so she starts off with seeing who she is, what she is, which, like, to be fair, it's in the book, but it's in a later part. Katniss has been seeing a therapist for everything that she's been through, and one of the things her therapist told her to do is to remind herself who she is, especially in the hard times, which, okay, I'm okay with this scene. It introduces Katniss, her mental state, cool. My problem is, The book and the film have a different timeline. In the film,
Yeah.
it feels like Catching Fire just ended. Like, literally, like, it was yesterday
In the film?
in the film.
Yeah, which then doesn't make sense for the rest of the timeline.
Exactly, because in the book, Katniss has been in District 13 for at least 2 months. Maybe 3.
I don't think it's been that long.
There is a timeline thing mentioned later in the film when we see PETA of how long it's been. I think it's 2 months. It's 2 months.
I think
It says
okay, it might
in
be
the
2
book.
months. Okay, yeah.
Cool. Because so then there's
Oh,
a scene
I know what you're referencing. Yes, I think it is
Cool.
about 2 months.
But in the film, forget that timeline. Yesterday was Catching Fire. Now we're in Mockingjay Part 1.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So now we have an extra scene of 13 forcing her to sleep as she's in a hospital bed. And she kind of leaves her hospital bed and she finds Finnick in a hospital bed. Of course, this scene, not in the book at all. But basically Finnick's there and he's saying, oh, the Capitol took Annie, and I wished Peeta and Joanna either saved them, or they were dead, or I was dead.
Look,
all that information is true. It's just in a later part of the book.
it is in a later part of the book. I understand why they've done it at this part of the movie. You needed something to bring in the audience a little bit, kind of catch them up to speed of like what is going on. If like suddenly you're here, this 30-second scene takes care of that. So it makes sense. I'm not upset that this is how they opened the film. It's an interesting choice that like this is how you open the film, but they are still not just opening it on complete irrelevant things. They're still opening it on relevant topics and something that like we just need to know. And if they establish this in the first 30 seconds, we don't need to be explained anymore. So I understand why they made the change.
Yeah, again, just like we talked about in the last episode, and the episode before that, and the episode before that, and the episode before that, we're not privy to Katniss's thoughts. So it's a lot of exposition from other characters, which is fine.
Which is fine. I did actually really like the scene, though. I thought it was beautifully well done, and I thought that the acting by Finnick Odair was beautiful.
My issue with it is from a point of like Finnick is supposed to be kind of cared for Katniss. Like it feels weird to have Katniss later in the film to be like, oh, we're friends now. Where like in this scene, you're like, oh, they hate each other. So there's not that really big of a change. Where in the book, you get the sense of how Katniss knew that Finnick wasn't part of the plan. Like she didn't know that Peeta wasn't going to get rescued or Joanna.
Yeah.
So maybe this is their way of helping that along. So the next scene, we'll just keep going. So Katniss is being nursed back to health by Prim. So Prim's helping her, nursing her. Prim is not her nurse in the books, but I kind of like it. I dig it. You know,
I'm not upset by this. Let's go.
Yeah. But then Boggs shows up, and Boggs is like, Miss Everdeen, we have to go. Now, here's the thing that maybe this bothers me as just like a thing. I want to know if this bothers you, Ankit. So in the book, everyone in District 13, I think, is called Soldier.
That sounds right.
Or it's like, there's like a, instead of like Mist or Mister, they're all soldiers. They're all part of the revolution. They're all for this thing. It kind of makes us feel like 13 is a cult. And I love this culty attitude of 13. Immediately when Boggs called her Miss, I was like, you're missing the point of like the cultiness of 13. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Laughing I'm laughing for a different reason.
Fair. Why are you laughing?
The cultiness of 13 reminded me of what we were all saying on your last night here in London about the school that we went to.
Oh, East 15 being a cult? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can I just say though, Mahershala Ali is a great Boggs. I really like the actor.
Fantastic Boggs. Love him as Boggs. So
they go together in an elevator. Remember, this is Katniss's first day in District 13, everyone. This is her first day.
Okay. It's not her first day. Maybe it's like a week.
I know. I'm really hating on the timeline issue.
Yeah, but they don't establish that it's a day. It could be like a week.
Fair. Just so everyone's privy to my hate. In the book, Katniss has been here a while, so she experiences life in 13. In the film, you're like, cool, welcome to 13.
Yeah, also, so that everyone is privy to Steven's hate in the future. It doesn't take a lot to switch him off and, like, make him mad at something, so, like, it's pretty easy and it'll keep showing up.
So they take an elevator down to the big Colosseum level, I guess, which, cool. I don't know if I like the architecture of 13. It's a bit weird. What do you think of the architecture of 13 in the film?
I don't mind it. It's not how I imagined it, but I don't mind it.
See, for me, 13 felt so much more clinical in the book, because there's this idea that 13 has these strict rules. You get your schedule on your arm. We'll talk more about the rules later, but this felt really grubby and underground and very, like, Stalinistic. That's what it felt like. It felt like we are the Russian Communist Party, and we're here to fight the Hitlers who are Nazis. We're here to fight Nazis. We're here to fight the peacekeepers who are Nazis, and Snow, who's Hitler. And I'm President Alma Coin, who's Stalin. That's what it felt like. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
I'm not wrong. They all wear the same thing.
Steven, you are wrong.
No.
You asked me to tell me you're wrong. I'm doing what you have asked.
Well, then agree with me or disagree with me, but tell me why.
Okay, I do the one thing you're not happy. I do the other thing you're still not happy. Pick a side.
Just talk with me.
I know, I'm just here to mess with you. So, no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I do understand where you were coming from. I didn't necessarily feel that, because, again, you gotta keep in mind this is an underground bunker, right? Everyone's wearing the same thing. Everyone has a uniform, right? Like, it's a way to keep all the mass washing down to a minimum so that they're using the least amount of water, right? And things like that. So that might be an explanation for why they're all wearing the same thing. It's an explanation, why does it all look so metallic like that and so single structured and, you know, kind of Stalinistic, as you were saying. That's very possible that, like, hey, it's meant to be an underground bunker. How many underground bunkers can you think of that are, like, state-of-the-art, like, beautiful on the inside? Like, no, they're probably going to look dirty and grimy and gray. Like, that's just the way that it's going to work.
The thing is, they talk about how 13 was... They talk about how 13 was created, and like this idea of the rules of 13 are there to keep everyone safe, everyone healthy. So that's why I have an issue with the way the set. That's why I have an issue with the set. I think the set is kind of counteractive to the story.
I think the set works. I think the set would have worked a lot better if it was like a weird, pristine clean.
That's what I mean. I think there's this weirdness to 13 in the book that I feel like it's so... Because, like, Katniss isn't clean. Like, I think there's this idea, like, Katniss hates being, like, the capital stooge with the makeup on and the fingernails done and everything. And she feels in 13 very much still kind of in that capital world. Mm-hmm. Just underground.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And I think that's what's missing, where it's like, it should still feel very capitalistic. If we're talking about the world of Panem.
Sure, okay.
Cool, yeah. So then she gets taken to the main meeting place where there's President Coin, Beatty, Plutarch. Again, it has the late, great Seymour Hoffman playing Plutarch. I think he passed away while this film was being shown. But I think they did film...
I think because they filmed it all at once.
Yeah, I think they filmed both parts at once, so I think all of his scenes were intact, but we're watching him posthumously.
I think so.
He died before the film came out.
He passed away in February 2nd of 2014. So yeah, he did pass away just before the film came out.
Yeah. So this, of course, is not in the book. There is no meeting with Beatty, Plutarch, and Coin. But I guess it's one way to introduce Coin as a character. Coin then says to Katniss that the revolution has started, and that she needs her to be the Mockingjay. And Katniss says no because they didn't rescue Peeta.
Mm-hmm.
And then Coin's like, "Oh, we should have rescued the boy." This is in the book, but like it's in Katniss's, like, she remembers
Head.
saying that. So
yeah, it's fine. I mean, like, what are you gonna do? You can't see inside of her head. That's fine.
And then we have a scene with Plutarch and Coin, just those two. And Plutarch convinces Coin to let her see 12. He's like, let her see 12, let her see what the Capitol did, and she'll agree to you. You know, it feels very reminiscent of the scenes he had with Snow in the last film.
It was weird. Also, I had two questions. One, was Beatty in a wheelchair in the book?
Yes.
Okay, I just missed that from the book. Okay, cool. Moving on. Then, yeah, this scene, right? It's not Plutarch's idea for Katniss to go.
No, it's specifically, I think, Coin's idea. Like, it says in the book, I believe it's in her head, she's like, Coin told her she had to go to 12.
I think she said she went to 12, didn't she?
No, you're right. The first time they went to 12, it's her idea. The second time she goes to 12.
The first time that they went to 12, it was her being like, I need to go see what it is. And by I mean Katniss.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's that thing of another character needs something to do to, like, make her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's the same thing. It's the consistent that's been happening. Like, someone else has to tell her the things instead of her just deciding that this is what I want to do. She's not as strong-willed in the movies.
So instead of having a moment where somebody's like, hey, Katniss, you're going to 12, Katniss and Boggs just walk from the meeting to the ship to go to 12. Like, there's no communication to Boggs because Boggs just knows all. There's a joke later. Boggs just knows it. Boggs knows.
Boggs knows.
Boggs knows.
Boggs knows.
So they get on the ship to 12. Gale's there. And she gives Gale a hug, and it's all lovey-dovey, and she's not mad at Gale. Because, you know, why should she be mad at Gale? Because Gale... What did Gale do? Oh, yeah. Gale's part of 13.
Saved everybody.
Gale did save everybody. And he has a communicuff, which they don't talk about. We'll talk about the communicuff later. So they get on the ship, and then Katniss goes down to 12. Now we finally start...
Hold on. Before we even get there, did we really need that much time to show the plane taking off, and then the plane flying, and then the plane landing? Dude, it was like a solid 2.5 minutes of this film.
I just ignored it because I was like, let's get to like the book starting.
It was so long and so unnecessary. And I was like, why? Why is this here? Why is this in the film? And why do I feel like this is going to be the majority of the film, where you're just going to be extending things that don't need to be extended just so that you make a runtime so that you can split this into 2 different films when you don't need to. Like,
So we finally get to start the book, everyone. The book starts.
I don't think you understand how upset I am about this. You need to acknowledge how upset I am about this.
I'm acknowledging
I could have gone downstairs, made myself a beautiful cup of tea, come back up, and that scene still would have been playing.
Okay, fair. So Katniss is down in the rubble of 12. This is where we start the book. And
we're finally at the book.
We're finally in the book, guys. Chapter 1 of the book is in 12, just so everyone's aware.
We're a solid, like, 7 minutes into the film.
Yeah, Gale's offered to... No, it was 9. It was 9
Oh, was it 9? Okay.
Because 2 minutes of that 9 were the ship flying.
You're not
Oh,
wrong.
this doesn't bode well.
Okay,
I have
so
a
what's
bad
happening
feeling
in
about
12?
this.
What's happening in
So,
12?
Katniss goes down to 12. Gale's offered to go down with her. She says no. She's supposed to have like an earpiece in because she's supposed to have full communication with Gale up in the ship. But
Mm-hmm.
again, no earpiece. I don't know why they cut this out of the whole film. Every scene, just there's no earpiece. It pisses me off. So Katniss is walking around 12. She's seeing all the destruction. This is shown beautifully in the film. In the
Oh,
books, she
I just want to point out you do also get the classic. Oh, this isn't too bad shot, and then you walk up the mound, and then you look into the vastness, and then you get the classic. Oh,
yeah,
that's bad. Like you
yeah.
have her, and then like her back facing the camera, and then like it's just a pan, and like you're slowly zooming out. Everybody knows the shot that I'm describing, but oh, the gravity to it. It's beautifully well done, and the score exemplifies it very well in this film.
So Katniss walks by the Justice Building in the book, but not in the film for some reason. But in the book, she walks by the Justice Building and she wonders where Madge and the Mayor, did they get out? And again, because Madge and the Mayor aren't in the series, it don't matter.
Look, that's why she didn't walk past the Justice Building. I found you your answer.
I'm just mad. Gale, by the way, Gale is the one who rescued as many people from 12 and got them to 13, just so everyone's aware. And for his victory of doing that, he was given a communicuff. He's the only one from 12 who's kind of allowed into this golden circle of 13 fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important that people understand where Gale's been in this time period and apparently what Katniss is going through. So Katniss steps on a body, a burnt to ashes bone body, and she has a mental breakdown. This is the same.
It's not just a body, my friend. It's a skull.
Yeah, it's a skull connected to a body.
Yeah, but she steps on the skull.
It's fair. She breaks the skull. She breaks young Yorick. I knew he well.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, poor Yorick. I was making a Hamlet reference.
Oh,
yes, skull?
I did get that. Yeah, yeah, I totally got your reference, man. I know what you're talking about. Let's go.
He calls himself an actor.
Hey,
no, I love it.
Know that like I've seen a lot of Shakespeare. I have not read a lot of Shakespeare.
It's true, everyone. It's true. I mean, also, Ankit is a great actor. For how much shit I give him, Ankit's one of my favorite actors.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome, buddy.
I didn't even have to pay him, ladies and gentlemen. True friendship.
He never does, and he never
I'm
will.
broke.
So Katniss has a mental breakdown in the middle of the dead bodies. And in the film, we just watch her have a mental breakdown. In the book, it gets cut by Gale, who's in the communicuff, who's like in her ear, saying, "Do you need me to come down? Are you all right?" And she kind of stands up and tries to show strength and moves on. It's kind of ignored. She then goes to Victor Village. So Victor Village is still standing.
Yeah. Question about this. And I haven't finished the book, and you may have at this point. I'm still in like the last little bit of it. But they never explained it, at least to where I'm at in terms of the book. But do they explain why Victor's village was not blown up?
So, from my understanding, and this is in the book, this is in the first bit of the book.
Okay, yeah, I just assumed that I probably missed something.
So, by the way, where she stepped on the body was in the seam, by the way, where she grew up. They skipped a bit where she went to like the rubbish of her old house. But fair enough. So we're now in the Victor Village house. But Victor Village is still standing because, like they used to shoot shots of District 13's destruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives the people a place to stay if they're going to send recording people out there from Capitol.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, the Capitol houses of 12 Victor. Like, I think, like, if they did another Hunger Games, they can rebuild 12.
I mean, it wasn't like it was very well built earlier. It was slums.
Well, there was the seam, and then there was like the rich area where Pete is from.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, but they weren't like rich. They were like middle class rich, merchant class,
They were merchant class. Yeah,
merchant
yeah,
class. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So that's my understanding of why they left Victor Village alone. My other thought, maybe, it's not like fully explained. No one goes, "Oh yeah, we bombed everything but Victor Village, and this is the reason why." This off Katniss's head, of course. My
Right.
theory is Snow left it as a symbol because he knew Katniss was still alive, and that's the house that he made her live in.
Oh, fair enough.
So I think it kind of goes down to like a lot of Snow plays as well.
Okay, okay.
Because Snow is a piece of work.
He's a character.
He is a character, and the next book is all about him.
I'm very intrigued to read that next book. I need to finish this one first.
Just so everyone understands, after we're done with Mockingjay, we're going to Songbird and Snakes, everybody.
Which is the main reason that we decided to embark on this quest, first of all, is because we saw that the new film had come out, and we were like, we are curious. And
we are curious.
Our curiosity got the best of us. But while we are curious, we aren't savages. And so we figured we should start at the beginning, especially because I hadn't read nor really seen these ever. And so we were like, all right, let's make sure that we understand the original trilogy before we go to some of the spin-off stuff that has been created.
Exactly. So then she goes into her house. She takes her dad's coat, which reminds her of her dad. Very important stuff. It's her dad's hunting coat.
Beautiful.
Totally understand that. And she finds Buttercup.
Meow.
Yep, Buttercup the cat. Yay. Then she goes into the office. She puts Buttercup into like her bag so she can bag so she can take him with him because she thinks that 13 won't let her have the cat, which is absolutely true because we'll talk about 13's rules later, but like Buttercup is not allowed in 13.
Buttercup is technically illegal.
Buttercup, you illegal, man. You illegal cat.
Oh, but hey. Buttercup makes up for it.
Oh, Buttercup does. Later.
Buttercup, soon, in time, becomes possibly one of the most well-liked residents of 13.
Exactly. Some would say a necessary component of 13.
Very vital to the living situation of 13.
So, in the film, she goes into the office where she first met President Snow. In the book, she goes upstairs to her bedroom. And in both places, she finds... Well, I'll talk about the film one, and then I'll talk about the book one and why the book one works better.
Okay.
So in the film one, she sees the normal flowers that are on the desk where she met Snow. And there's a single white rose kind of out of place in the middle of the planter. She picks it up. Was weird. She knows it's from Snow.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works better in the book because she goes upstairs to her bedroom and on her bedside table, knowing she would return to her bedroom, a private area, is in a vase with some water, is a single white rose. That symbol, to me, works so much better than a white rose in a bunch of other flowers on a table.
Sure. I am also going to 100% tell you what probably happened is that they were like, great, we have this set up for the meeting. We might as well use the same set and film the same shot in the same set on the same day.
They didn't film all three films at the same time, though.
They filmed... Oh, you're right, because they had that conversation and that... They may have just already had the set built.
No, I get it. I just think the book one makes more sense and works better.
Look, the book one is more intimate. The film one makes sense.
Listen, if I wanted to really with someone... Oh, sorry for my language. If I really wanted to mess with someone...
I mean, you are allowed to swear, Stephen. It's not like we can't swear. We just bleep it out.
That's true. If I wanted to with Katniss Everdeen, I'd do the white rose in her bedroom. So then...
Now, Stephen, that being said, are you Snow in this situation?
I don't know if I'd want to be Coriolanus Snow. That's the hard question.
Because here are your two options of being able to put a white rose in Katniss Everdeen's bedroom, right? Considering you're probably not one of her family members, and I'm not giving you Gale or Peeta. You don't get to be one of them. Now, you either are Snow and in a power of position, or you're a creep with a crush that broke into a teenage girl's bedroom window.
I'd be Snow, thank you. I don't want to be
Okay, cool. That is the correct choice.
I'll be President Snow for the day. And then my first act as President Snow for the day is to end the Hunger Games. No more Hunger Games, everyone.
Well done. All right,
I'm
moving on.
good
Sorry.
now.
No, you're not.
So then we cut from the scene The Rose to a scene that's not in the book. Again, anytime we see President Snow on screen, for the most part, not in the book. Cool. It's nice to see him. Sutherland still plays a really good Snow. Of course, we want to see the bad guy.
It does help.
It does help. So we cut to a scene of Snow prepping. He's getting a haircut. And he was saying that he won't call them rebels because his oldest rule is you never let them see you bleed.
It is truly beautiful, though, that he says, you never let them see you bleed. And then he was just nicked by a little razor.
And you know that person's dead, right?
Oh, yeah. 100% that barber is gonna die.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That barber does not deserve death. That nick was on President Snow. Anyone that has shaved a beard or had their beard shaved before can tell you. And I've only had it done like once. And it was really nice. It's like a really nice feeling when someone else shaves your beard and you don't have to shave your annoying facial hair at the same time. But you don't move when you're in the chair.
There's one down the street from the apartment. It's like 20 pounds, and you can get your haircut and your beard done and everything.
Zeno's?
I don't know if it was Zeno's. It was just it's by the anchor.
Oh, we different directions.
Other direction, yeah.
Yeah.
So then he gives this speech to all of Panem. He talks about law and order and says they are misguided radicals, blood and heart. Any districts supply capital, and capital gives order and protection. He then has a mass execution on the many stages and bans the Mockingjay symbol. So
yeah, I had a few thoughts about this scene.
Please.
Number one, beautifully delivered.
Yeah.
Beautifully delivered speech. Number two, wild that they had live executions on presumably television.
I see, this is my thing. They make, like, okay, in the book, Snow is bad. We get this. Like, without question, Snow in the Capitol, they do shitty things. The Hunger Games should have never happened. We, as people, get this. Snow himself would probably not allow mass executions on the stage. He's smarter than this.
Yeah.
His goal is to stop the war, not to fire it up.
He did the opposite.
Just film version of Snow, to me, is stupid.
So is Katniss. So I mean, like,
I don't know why they take brilliant characters from the book and decide, let's dumb them down.
It's because audiences can't handle complex characters.
It's like in the new Percy Jackson adaptation. Oh, sorry, Grover broke a pearl, so we can't save all four of us. Not the fact they only got 3 pearls.
Yeah, you could just have 3 pearls. Like, what? Yeah. I was listening to something, though, because I know that we were upset. However, going back and looking at that series, I'm still upset about many things about that series. That aside. But that series, how we were saying that it was really fast-paced, right? And that felt really weird to us in episode 1 and 2. Like, it just felt off. I was listening back to a show that was talking about them and things, and they pointed out something very interesting, that like while things were changed, they do a really good job in the first 2 episodes. When you go back and look at just those first 2 episodes, and I'm only talking about those 2, they do a very good job in that series setting up everything that we technically learn in like 12 chapters in a very short, succinct amount of time. So yes, things changed, and it does sometimes feel a bit rushed, but it's because they were like, we got to get on this quest. Like, if you're going to have a whole book about being on a quest and adventure and stuff, you can't just be sitting at camp for 2-3 episodes. Like, that's too lazy. So, like, just
I disagree.
Fair.
We'll talk about Percy Jackson later. We're not on Percy Jackson. We're on Hunger Games.
Yeah. Anyway, Hunger Games.
So his granddaughter is watching him do the speech, and she has the Katniss braid. I just wanted to talk about this moment. And she takes her Katniss braid out, and I think
that
that's
was
hilarious.
The third thing that I had.
Oh, was that your third thing?
Yeah.
So then Katniss gets back to 13. So we cut back to Katniss at 13, because the snow thing wasn't in the books. And Katniss shows up, gives Buttercup to Prim. Prim's all like, "Yay, my cat!"
Yeah.
She says they have strict rules, but don't talk about what they are. So here's the thing. Now is the time we can talk about District 13's rules.
Cool.
So, Ankit, the first thing of District 13, what are the rules? Go for it.
All right. So the first thing
You
is
name one rule, and then I'll name one rule.
Oh. I feel like you are going to know significantly more rules, and I don't like this game, but let's play. Okay. So, rule number 1, every day you get tattooed with your schedule on your arm. It tells you your entire schedule for the day, and then it does wash away at like 10 p.m.
Yes. Rule number 2, you are only allowed to eat your meals, and whatever District 13 has given you, rationed out to you, you're not allowed to share, nor are you allowed to ask for seconds.
Rule number 3, no pets.
Yeah. Rule number 4, when someone says lights out, lights out.
Rule number 5, always listen to your schedule. Katniss never does, but always do.
Rule number 6, we're all soldiers here, and we're all fighting the revolution together.
Yep. Rule number 7, nobody is above the schedule. I don't know if that's like a rule, but like nobody is above the schedule. Like not even Coin is above the schedule. Like everybody has to stick to their schedule.
I think those are all the rules. I don't think there's any more. So I think we've done a good job.
All right, cool.
High five, buddy.
Woo!
Hey, Sebastian, put it like a sound effect of like hands clapping when we do high five.
Yeah. We tried.
So in chapter 2, we then go to see Coin again. And in the meeting, basically, Coin says no again. And we see the PETA broadcast. Now, the PETA broadcast is broadcast in front of everyone at the meeting instead of just Katniss in the lunchroom. It's a bit weird.
It is weird that it is done not in the meeting and in the lunchroom, but fine. I didn't hate that change. I didn't really understand why they made that change, but I also guess maybe it was to show what the people of 13 thought of PETA instead of just what the higher ups necessarily thought of PETA. Maybe that was the reason.
Exactly. So PETA's first broadcast is the same. He protects Katniss by saying he has no idea what she was doing when she blew up the barrier. He had no idea what was going on, and he calls for a ceasefire, and everyone gets really mad at him, basically calling him a traitor, and Katniss is like, oh no, I need to protect him now. So PETA is still playing the game. He is protecting Katniss. That has always been his goal. He is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is the first time Katniss has seen PETA in 2 months in the book, but a week-ish in the film. And she
Yeah.
thinks PETA might be dead, but she's so happy to see him, and he looks so good. He's in his Capitol uniform. He looks great.
He looks healthy. He's a good kicking boy.
So so the differences between this scene in the books and the film. In the film, Katniss sees this. A bunch of people in the lunchroom are yelling, "Traitor!" Like he's a big traitor, and Katniss runs out of the lunchroom, and Gale follows.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, Katniss watches it with Coin and everyone else, and then runs out of the room, and Gale goes to follow. Boggs goes to stop it, and he gives Boggs a sucker punch in the nose.
Yeah.
And breaks Boggs' nose.
And then
and that is how
his
Gale
communicuff
loses
taken away.
Oh, sorry. You were going to say the same thing I was going to say. Say it again. Sorry.
Oh. And then he gets his communicuff taken away.
Exactly. So Gale loses his privileges. Then Gale goes over to talk to Katniss to comfort her, to help her through the PETA thing. Instead, Gale in the film is a lot more like antagonistic about what PETA said, and he's ruining everything, and it's like, dude, you know how she feels. Like, it feels like the wrong argument they should be having.
An argument, nonetheless, just the wrong argument. That's all that Stephen's saying. Yeah. Fair.
And then Katniss is in her bed, in her bunk with Buttercup and Prim and her mom. They have two separate beds because Katniss touched her out in her sleep. And we replay the scene where she has a nightmare and catching fire.
Mm-hmm.
And PETA comes in and
I was
joins her in the
very confused until I realized it was a dream.
This, of course, is film only. It's just a repeat of the last film. I think that it does play with the psychology of what Katniss was going through at the time, though, because she was missing PETA.
Yeah. No, I think it fits beautifully. And, like, when it first started, I was like, what? How did this suddenly... Oh, it's a dream. Okay, cool. Like, I was like, PETA's in 13... I'm confused. Because, like, there was no, like, cue that this was Dream Sequence World.
Yeah, no, it was really, like... It was just like the normal world, wasn't it?
It was just the normal world. Like, there was no, like, mist or nothing. Like, there was no cue to hint that we might be in a dream sequence. But once she wakes up, I was like, oh, these make sense now. I didn't hate it. I actually quite enjoyed it. It showed beautifully how she was truly feeling.
Yeah. Just wish it was
she
like...
wanted a PETA pedal.
Cut some of the flying of the plane so we can get to more of the plot of the book.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There is so much fluff.
Yeah. So Prim sees that Katniss has woken up from a nightmare and she crawls into bed with her. This is book accurate, so this is all great stuff.
This scene is like greatly done.
Prim's like, you don't realize how important you are to them. Like, you can ask for anything.
Yeah.
So Katniss does just that. In the book, Katniss goes into the next meeting and she asks for a piece of paper because she's going to write her demands down for what she wants. A lot of people are present when she asks for what she wants. Mm-hmm. In the film, it's only Coin and Plutarch, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
That it's just those two. Because her whole point was she needs as many people to know about the agreement, what she wants as possible. Because she thinks that Coin could just instantly turn on her.
Mm-hmm. I do have an issue with this scene, but I'm going to let you finish describing it, and then I'll tell you my issues.
Okay. So her demands are, in the film, I'm just going to talk about the film only, and then we can talk about the differences from the book.
Oh, yeah.
So in the film only, Katniss just demands that PETA,
Joanna and
Annie will be saved and be pardoned. That's her only demand to be the Mockingjay. That is not her only demands in the book. Coin immediately... No, but that's all she says in the... Well, we'll get to what else she says in the film. But Coin also immediately in the film just says straight up no. She doesn't say that in the book. Now, let's talk about the book version.
Okay.
In the book...
First of all, she doesn't agree to be the Mockingjay this quickly.
No.
In the film, it feels like she's agreed to be the Mockingjay in like 20 minutes.
It is. She does say if you do these 6 demands, 5 demands.
Yeah. Now, here's the big thing that irks me about the demands in the film. Fine, she didn't have any of the other demands, whatever. What bothers me is that she asked for the rescue. She never asked for the rescue.
Exactly.
She
So-
only asked that they would be pardoned and cleared of any crime.
So in the book, the first thing she asked for is the pardon of Peeta, Joanna, not Annie, because she forgot about Annie, but Enobaria, who is the tribute from District 2, who has the shark teeth. We called her Shark Teeth in the last episode. My bad. I guess you have a name.
No. Shark Teeth is more interesting, but Shark Teeth ain't in the film, so, like, don't worry about it. Or, like, maybe Shark Teeth is in the film, but maybe Shark Teeth's dead. I don't know. She's not important in the films. She's not
Enobaria
really important in
comes
the
back
books.
in part 2. of the films.
Sure. Why not?
Cool. So Enobaria will get a pardon. So that's the first thing she asked for. The second thing she asked for is she wants to go hunting with Gale regularly. So she wants to be given permission to go outside to hunt. She says they'll donate all the food to the people, to the kitchen,
to
so
the
they have more food
kitchens.
for 13. But she just wants some time with Gale to go hunt.
Just
She wants Gale to
honestly,
get his...
it's her reasoning is very simple. Is that it is stuffy underground, and if you need me to function and you need me to be able to think clearly, I need to be able to clear my mind. Best way to do that is with Gale outside.
Exactly. She also asked for Prim to keep her cat. She basically says, by the way, Prim has a cat named Buttercup. We need to keep it. It's not a joke thrown in at the last minute. And the fourth thing she asked for is she wants Coin to announce it herself to the entire district that she's pardoning Peeta, Joanna, and Enobaria.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's one more that I'm missing. Oh, she wanted Gale to get his Communicuff back.
Maybe?
I don't think they agreed to that last one. I don't think
think that was a demand. I think they just give it back at some point.
Fair. Coin doesn't say no in the book. She kind of misgrudgingly agrees. I think this is the thing about Coin that I like in the book compared to the film so far. Coin is not quick decisioned. She's very smart. She's very tactile. She is going to use what Katniss has asked her to her own benefit.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't disagree right away. What I don't like about the film is that Plutarch has to sway Coin to convince that this is a good idea. Like, no, let Coin just be the strong leader that she is, to where she's not immediately going to say no, because she understands how important having Katniss is as the Mockingjay. Plutarch doesn't need to tell her how important she is. Like, Coin gets it. Coin knows why Katniss is so important. So, like, I think, again, they dumbed down Coin when they didn't need to.
Exactly. So, everyone leaves. In the film, everyone leaves except for Plutarch. And Plutarch goes down to knock on Effie's door. Effie Trinket is in District 13.
Yeah.
In the book, on the other hand, he asks Gale and Katniss to come with him, with Fulvia, his assistant, who is not in the film for some reason.
Nah, she doesn't exist.
They go down an elevator to a security panel, and they break through a guard, and they open a jail cell, and inside the jail cell, they find beaten, very pale, probably pooped their own pants, Katniss's design team from the first film and the second film.
The prep team.
The prep team, who Cinna chose. So they decided to replace Fulvia and all of the prep team with Effie.
With Effie, which is a change. It's a massive change.
Massive.
I don't hate it because I freaking love Elizabeth Banks as Effie Trinket.
I agree. I think it was a way to keep Elizabeth Banks in the film because she's not in the book, but keep everything like still simple.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still like the idea of her prep team being there.
I
And you
like
get
the
kind of
idea of her prep team being there. I don't mind Effie being there. Let's put it that way.
My thing is the thing that's being missed. Obviously, Effie's. They talk about the rules of 13 a bit more. One rule that we missed was that Hamage, no alcohol. So Hamage is N13, drying out somewhere, trying to get sober.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
We don't know where. We love Hamage. Katniss won't talk to Hamage because obviously Hamage didn't save PETA, even though he promised. There's a huge thing about that. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
But here we are. So Plutarch convinces Effie, basically, hey, come make Katniss the Mockingjay. Let's incite this revolution together. And she goes, okay. She agrees after Plutarch basically plays her. I think this scene is beautiful. I do love this scene.
It's fantastic.
But my thing about what they cut out with the prep team, like Katniss, Gale, and of course Plutarch discovering the prep team all beaten up and not taken care of, malnourished, and all that stuff.
I think what would have made
Katniss
this scene more powerful is if Effie was beaten up, because as I'm assuming what you were about to say, or like even if it's not Katniss that sees it, but it's Plutarch that sees it, but what we see in the book is we see the other side of 13. We don't just see the good side of 13, we see the darkness of 13 as well.
Which is why she's called Coin. Because she has two sides to her, one very dark. And what Katniss says, like, in her mind, what I was trying to get to is Katniss sees this, and Katniss is like, this is a message from Coin that I shouldn't have asked for all those things.
Not necessarily. Like, she thinks
That's
that, but it's not necessarily a message from Coin.
No, but, like, it does feel like that, and I think that adds to such an antagonistic way of 13. Like, 13's not just the good guy here, and I think that's a very interesting place to put us in this gray area. I still feel like the movie isn't trying to make 13 a gray area. They're like, 13's the good guys, and the Capitol's the bad guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I agree with that.
Like, the film's not smart enough, maybe, or they weren't brave enough to try to make that argument.
Oh, I agree with that. That's a valid argument.
So then Coin calls everyone to give her announcement. Then she's walking through with Prim, and they explain the epidemic that wiped out the children of 13 and prevented more babies, which is why the other district men and women are helpful to their population. So District 13 allows all men and women from other districts into their population in the book. And there's this other character, I think his name is Dalton. And he explains to Katniss when they first get there that, oh, you're here to be a breeder like I am. To keep the population
they need
going,
them so that they
because District 13 can't have kids. They called it a flu in the book. In the film, I think it was more like smallpox in the book.
It was something more like smallpox in the book, but they didn't exactly confirm what it was. It was just some type of epidemic.
And then magically, Prim knows that Coin lost her daughter and her husband to the epidemic. Which
why not add a little spice?
It's not in the book, but all right, cool. Give Coin a backstory.
Coin has a backstory now. Cool.
I'm sure Coin has like a more fleshed out backstory in like the second part of the book, but in the first part of the book where we don't learn that information.
Yeah, fair.
So Katniss runs into Finnick before the announcement, and basically she goes, "Hey Finnick, this is what I'm doing." I'm talking book only, and Finnick is like, "Oh, did you ask her about Annie? Did you go to protect Annie?" And she's like, "Oh crap, I forgot to do Annie." So she goes to Coin before Coin makes her announcement to add Annie's name to the list.
Yeah,
which I think is great because it shows Katniss is infallible. She's not like, sometimes she forgets things, which is fine. Like we all do. In the film, she just runs into Finnick, and Finnick's like, she's like, "Oh, I put Annie's name on the list," and he's like, "Oh, thank you, Katniss. I really appreciate it." It's like, that's it. There's no infallibility of Katniss. So I like the other one better.
I do too.
Katniss goes up to Coin and adds the name to Coin's announcement. And Coin basically says, "Do you want to stay on the stage while I do the announcement, or do you want to watch from the area and then go. And she says,
Mhm.
I'd rather watch from the area and go, so that way she doesn't get any backlash. In the film, of course, she just watches from the back area. She doesn't go talk to Coin before Coin gives her an announcement.
Yeah.
Coin then says what she wants. Coin's like, we're going to rescue the tributes, which is not in the book, but that was the only problem that Anka had a problem with. She says we're going to pardon the tributes, and that blows up the whole 13. Everyone's really upset because they're like, how could we pardon a traitor like Peter Malark? Peter Malark, number one traitor of District 13.
Yeah, it was on the pamphlet when you walked in.
Yeah, if you read the pamphlet, right there, Peter Malark, number one traitor.
I mean, you did have to flip the page. It was on page 2, but it was there in plain print.
Was page 1 President Snow with a picture with like a red cross and an arrow in it?
No, page 1 was like a really nice, like, welcome to 13 with like Coin, like in her all like, you know, beautiful attire and everything like that, right? Like a welcoming smile and image. The back cover is 100% Snow with the big red X through them, on flames. But that's the back cover. But the front cover, very nice.
Yeah. So then Coin, who is probably like, I love Coin because she can just flip, and that's the point of her name. But in the book and the film, at least they kept this in. She then says, if she fails to fulfill her duties as the Mockingjay, she will forsake these agreements.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, Katniss just realized how effed up she just made. So she has to be a good Mockingjay, because if she's not, everyone's dead, basically.
Yeah.
So she's fallen into Coin's pocket.
Wee-hoo!
Then Plutarch and Coin and Effie have a conversation. Effie Trinket never meets President Coin. I don't think ever in the world of Hunger Games, but I think it's hilarious. Plutarch tries to coach Coin and how to be a leader, which I'm like,
Plutarch,
Coin
shut
knows
up.
how to lead. She's been leaving 13 for years.
Yeah. I don't know. Plutarch had choices.
Then Katniss has dinner with Effie, which is lovely. I love, she's supposed to have dinner with her prep team originally, but because Effie's the prep team, she has dinner with Effie.
Yeah.
But it's not supposed to be just be Gale, Katniss, and Effie having dinner. It's supposed to be Gale and the rest of District 12, because all the District 12 people have dinner together, because District 13 is kind of like weird about them.
Yeah.
And what I love about the book is Gale's sister, Gale's youngest sister, says that one of our prep
Octavia
calls her pretty. Thank you, Octavia. She calls Octavia pretty, and Octavia is so moved by this. Her whole prep team is so invigorated by the people of 12. Because the one thing Katniss tries to explain to Gale, and Gale is actually being really helpful with this. Gale is first off put by them. He's like, they train people to die. They make them pretty so they can die. But like, what she tries to explain to them is they're just part of the system. They're broken as we are.
Yeah,
Gale
like to them, it's no different. Like they don't understand, like that it's terrible, right? Like if you grow up and you are told in a world that like, oh yeah, every year this is what we do for entertainment, then like you're just mentally brought up that way, and so you don't think of it as a messed up thing. Because you're in the capital and you're just like, oh yeah, like this is just life, like cool.
So Katniss gets the book from Effie, which has all of Cinna's designs. You'll learn in the book that Cinna is dead. It's not really clear in the film. We just know he's dead.
No, it's clearer in the film than it is in the book. In the book, they just say that Plutarch's like spies and investigative team has, intel that like Cinna is most likely dead through interrogation. In the book, Effie just straight up, Katniss is like, Cinna's dead, and Effie just goes, yeah.
That's right. My bad. I got the two confused for a second.
How dare you?
Sometimes you write it down and you're like,
You should be insulted.
And again, Effie's being Fulvia and the prep team.
She's
Fulvia
everybody.
has the book. Effie just replaces like 80 people in this film. If someone says a thing they forgot to cast the character, it's Effie Trinket.
Give me more Elizabeth Banks. I'm here for it.
So then she goes to put on her Mockingjay outfit, which Cinna designed, and it's supposed to have a helmet. It doesn't have a helmet in the film for some reason. They're like, no, we need to have her hair. We need her hair. We need to, but like, she still had her braid, like the authentic braid of the Mockingjay. She just has a helmet that's supposed to like represent. She's a soldier. She's going into war. Like, give her a helmet.
Nah, she don't need one. Her braid
Also,
is
like,
all that she's going to
they
need,
make her up.
Steven.
They make her look 35. You know, they kind of do the capital thing.
Yeah.
Also, there's this huge thing about her gash in her arm by Joanna, how they try to hide it. That's not in the film, but just wanted to bring that a little bit up.
Mm-hmm.
So they shoot the first promo on this really high-tech green screen. It's in a studio in the book, but it's this really cool high-tech green screen. I really like it.
I just kind of want to work on with that high-tech green screen. That sounds fun.
Dude, like, could you imagine having those, like, bubbles on you? You know, like the mocap?
Dude, that
mocap?
Sounds... Yeah. It's mocap. Also, for anyone curious, mocap is short for motion capture. So...
Yeah. But, like, that'd be so cool. I could see you doing, like, an elf with that, Ankit, like, having all the movement around.
Dude, I would love to do motion capture. Someone hit me up. I got the voice down. Like, I could play an elf.
They're doing a BA in motion capture at East of Sea now.
The cult has expanded.
Oh yeah, but that's the South End cult.
Oh, they're different to us.
They are different. I've met the South End people. They're lovely. They're just different.
They're still connected, but they're different.
They're like exterior cousins.
Yeah. Like, you know, you meet one of them, and you're like, so you understand where I'm coming from, but also you don't fully understand where I'm coming from. It's like me when I meet Indians.
So Katniss is, coached on her line. She's like, we're here. We fight for freedom. Braveheart. Yeah. In the film, she tries to
my
say
friends, is how a revolution dies.
Yeah, I was gonna get there. It's one of the best lines in the book and the
That's
film.
why I had to beat you to it.
So she says it in the film like 8 times and then gets interrupted by Haymitch clapping. Woody Harrelson delivers it perfectly. In the books, she says it once and she's like, I think I did okay. And that's when Haymitch comes in and goes, that's how a revolution dies. Both are great. I think I like the book one better just because she says it once and he's like, once you suck. You suck.
So what I like more about the book, I love both. I am so glad that they left Haymitch's entrance the same for the most part.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, they didn't change the line. They just took the line from the book and they were like, and insert here. Lovely. Woody, have fun. The only thing that they did different is in the book, he is in the booth. So he just comes over the speaker system.
Yeah, I love that.
Just the ominous voice and just goes, and that, my friends, is how a revolution dies.
He also calls her sweetheart again.
Yeah, but that's after. That's after his initial line. Like, wait. We haven't gotten to sweetheart moment. Whereas in the film, he does come in clapping. But either way, mwah. Beautiful, 100%, no notes. And on that lovely note, let's take a quick pause for a very quick snack break, hopefully, because this episode has gone on for a while. But we're going to take a quick snack break, and then we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Steven. Thank you for watching Co-op Forge. If you like our content, wish to support our editing staff or all, please subscribe to our Patreon in the link down below. You'll get bonus footage and many other fun activities out of it. In our description, you'll also find links to our social media, where we'll post about our new episodes. Flip the Scripts is every Friday, Seattle Across the Pond is every other Thursday, and Post Finale is posted every Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Now back to the main episode. Cool. So, we are back. Haymitch has now become the mastermind of the propos, In the book, Fulvia's really upset. Fulvia doesn't exist, so who cares? And so we're in the film, and Haymitch is in the meeting with Coin, Plutarch, Gale, Boggs, and Effie, and Katniss is there as well. And he's like, "What do you love about Katniss? What about Katniss makes you follow her?" In the
No.
book,
He
they invite.
asks for something. That's not what he asks for. He asks for a time that Katniss Everdeen moved you. Not
That's
something
what
that
I
she
meant.
said, not something that she wore, but when did she herself move you? Make
That's
you
right.
feel something.
And in the book, there's a lot more people there. He invites people from 12, so like a lot of people who shouldn't be in command, and it's really a funny scene. In the film, they kind of ignore that and just let Effie talk more. Woody
I
Harrelson
wish
is great.
that in that scene, the only thing that I wish is that Effie didn't have like 3 out of the 5 things that were said when there were other people in the room who didn't say anything. It would have
I
been more
agree.
meaningful. Like, just give each person in that room a line. Good enough.
Effie was replacing the people they didn't have. So
Yeah, I just
then,
feel like they could have replaced her having all of the lines, because then it just felt like things that Effie knew about her. Whereas, like, times that, like, other people were actually moved. So it's like, just spread out the love of who gets
Fair.
it. Because it wasn't like those people weren't already in the room. They were sitting there for the meeting, just didn't say anything.
Yes. So Woody Harrelson then goes up to a board and basically erases it so he can write on it. And he goes, "Hope that wasn't important." I love Woody Harrelson as Haymitch. He's just so good.
Great.
And everyone's saying what they loved about all the things that they follow Katniss for. And Gale says no one told her what to do. She just did it. Boggs, instead of Dalton, tells them that they should lose the makeup because Dalton doesn't exist. What they're missing is Coin. So then they say that they need to get her to the battlefield. And everyone's like, yeah, Coin was always okay with sending Katniss to the battlefield. And she's like, she's unchained. She's not a soldier. It's like they called her Soldier Everdeen in the book. So don't get this argument of like Katniss is untrained. She has been being trained in 13 for 2 months.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of weird things with Coin.
It's odd.
And it is odd, but Coin is still a little trepidatious about sending her battle, but she's like, we can send you to 8. There's just been a battle. Nothing's happened there. But Coin's like, don't get yourself killed. And Katniss responds with, well, if I do, make sure you film it.
Yeah.
Which is book accurate and film accurate. So,
which is significantly more badass in the film if you say the line the right way. No, I mean, dude, like, that's the thing. It's like, if you're already mad about this, you don't go paraphrasing what has just been said. Like, in the film, she does say, what if you die? And Katniss just looks straight at her and just goes, get it on camera.
Yeah, I actually wrote it right on my notes. I said it wrong on this.
You weren't even close to get it on camera. Like, that's not even an
So they're trying to shoot so now that Haymitch's ideas for the pros are going through, Haymitch is basically like, yeah, you have to get Katniss in the middle of action to get like moments good with Katniss. Katniss is not a method actor. She has to actually do things she has to do things.
Katniss is a method actor. She has to physically do it.
She learned from Strindberg. She was like, oh, okay.
She's like, if I'm not in the moment, I cannot do this. If I am not truly this person, I cannot be the Mockingjay. I have to be in the moment. I have to see the battle. I cannot use my imagination. That's not a thing.
So then Gale and Katniss go down to get weapons from the weapon area. This happens before the meeting, by the way, in the book, but in the film they switch them. But she's supposed to have her bow and arrow for the pros, which is like a bit weird, but whatever.
Yeah.
So she goes down and she gets her bow and arrow, and Beatty's like, these are all the special arrows. Let's have you practice shooting them. And Gale gets a crossbow, which is cool. I think it's a normal bow in the book.
Yeah, it's a normal bow in the book. It's a crossbow in the film. That's it. That's the only change.
It's just more high-tech bow.
Cool.
Fair. he shows that he can shoot it well. Like one shot, Katniss is like, "Oh, you did good," and then the Katniss is like goes to shoot her bow, and he's like, "Oh, don't shoot that one because that's explosive."
Yeah, Katniss, use your brain.
Well,
I'm
also does
sorry.
like
I'm sorry. We have established she doesn't have one in this film. Everything has to be told to her or done for her.
so then Boggs and Katniss are walking to the ship to take off. Plutarch, Haymitch is supposed to be on the ship. They're not on the ship in the film for some reason because we don't need them there. They're not part of this scene for some reason, but they
Nah.
really are part of the scene in the book. But whatever, we move on. As Boggs and Katniss are walking in the book, they run into Finnick, and Finnick is really upset because he wants to go to 8 with them, and he's been told no. Katniss cheers him up by saying that Beetee made him a trident as well, and he then toughens up and he tries to get better himself,
Yeah, and
which
it
I
was
think is good because
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it was a beautiful moment where you see the state in the book that Finnick is in. Like he is trying to get better, but like he is still quite mentally messed up, and is still quite messed up. But then Katniss is also like she understands that Haymitch wants to come, and Haymitch wants not Haymitch, Finnick wants to come, and Finnick wants to help, and she understands that, but she also plays it off really well, and Boggs congratulates her on this as well, being like, you handled this very well. Like didn't just say no, you can't come, but like was like, I completely forgot this concussion that I have. I keep forgetting things. I forgot to tell you, BD wants to see you. He made you a new trident. Like, go check it out. Like, it's actually really cool. And like, kind of plays it off like that. Like, it's not that we don't want you to come. It's that you have this other important thing to go do. Like, we need
he
you to
also
go do
gets
this.
he also takes off his hospital gown in the scene in the book, and he gets completely naked, which I think is really hilarious because Boggs is there like, oh god, I just seen Finnick O'Dare naked.
Hey, worse people.
Yeah, I mean, according to the Capitol, definitely.
That's not what I meant, Steven. I just meant the actor had a nice 6-pack.
Oh, fair. I thought you were going from the book. I was like, yeah, the Capitol loves his body.
A lot of people do.
Okay, so then we end up on the ship, and Effie's in front of the ship, commenting how beautiful Gale is, and then they move on and they get on the ship. In the book, this scene does happen. Fulvia comments how beautiful Gale is to Katniss, and Katniss is like, because Katniss doesn't have makeup on anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and she's saying how she doesn't need to make Gale look beautiful. He just is beautiful. And Katniss is a little embarrassed by it. And then Boggs says, we just saw Finnick O'Dare naked, so you have to kind of beat that. Which I love. I love that book version. I think Boggs has great comedy in the book that's lost in the film.
It's because he just doesn't have that many lines in the film. That's all.
I know. So then we end up on the ship and we meet Cressida and the insects, which to me are perfect casting. I love that. They are so cool.
Great casting. I only had one issue with this little bit. One, we don't get to hear the fun thing of her referring to them as the insects. For anyone
Fair.
listening that is confused, the insects are the 2 camera crew people. They are
because their equipment that they wear to film are like these insect things, and so they look like ladybugs with what they film. That's why Katniss calls them the insects.
She calls them
which they don't look like that in the film, by the way. That's book only.
Yeah, but then she is told very quickly by Cressida that Pollux is an Avox. And it bothers me again because Katniss figures out that Pollux is an Avox. She doesn't need to be told that Pollux is an Avox.
I will also say it's really cool that there's some ASL representation in the film.
Yeah.
Pollux does ASL to communicate, which is not in the book. I think that's a really cool addition as a film adaptation. I'm really supportive of the deaf community, and I think it's really interesting to have that in a film.
No, I think it's a really nice add into the film, and shows that like, hey, like this is a language, and like people do need to learn, but it also shows us that like as an Avox, it doesn't mean that you can't communicate. You just have to figure out a different way to communicate. You got your tongue cut out. Sure, you can't speak. You can still
Yeah.
speak, just in a different way. You have to communicate in a different way.
Yeah.
So,
So Natalie Dormer, who is Game of Thrones famous,
mm-hmm.
she's playing Cressida, which I love. Natalie Dormer. She has been in the series such as The Tudors, where she played Anne Boleyn, and she played Marjorie in Game of Thrones. So
Yeah.
I really love her as a character. She feels like ripped straight from the book. She feels exactly as Cressida is explained. So good job, Natalie. She did her homework.
She did do her homework. She did do her homework. Now, out of curiosity, I have gone to her IMDb, and I am scrolling through her IMDb, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I have seen any of these things that she has been in to where I really know her frame of work.
I love her in Game of Thrones, and she's great in The Tudors. So
still haven't seen that. Oh, apparently she was in Captain America: The First Avenger. I have seen that one. I don't know who Private Lorraine is. That's apparently who she plays.
oh, she's the woman who like Steve hits on Steve when when he first gets the shield in the office, and Peggy Carter's like jealous.
Oh, the reason that Peggy shoots him?
Yeah.
Well done, Natalie. You did your role well in that film too. She understood the assignment. She was like, "This is the assignment. We do the assignment. Well done.
We do the assignment." So they get on the hover car and they get to District 8. Again, they film the car for way too long, the flying for way too long.
Yeah. We've established this.
So they arrive and Commander Parlor is waiting for them. She's a bit older in the books, but her age, it's fine. I don't really mind it. She then leads Katniss into the hospital. She's hoping that Katniss can give them hope. They want to film Katniss in the hospital because they want her to see what the Capitol's doing and get good footage from it. Also, Plutarch and Haymitch are supposed to be on the ship, like I said, and have connection radio into Katniss. Katniss is supposed to be able to hear Haymitch the entire time she's there. But, film only. No earpiece. She doesn't have an earpiece. I don't know why.
Earpiece.
She doesn't have an earpiece. Then she goes in. She meets everyone. There's a YouTuber, by the way, who's in this. I forget what YouTuber it is, but there's the guy who's like the first one to salute her is a YouTuber. He got cast for the film.
Sure.
And then they salute her, and she sees all the damage Ada's done. This is like straight from the book. The only thing that's not book is the salute. They've kind of made that an action of the film, the salute, so I kind of get it.
Great. I have a major problem with this scene.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you have a problem with, and I'm going to let you explain it, but I agree with you.
I have a feeling like we have a different problem, but okay, I'm going to explain. Yeah. Do you want to explain yours first?
You say what you have a problem with, I'll say what I have a problem with.
Okay. The hospital scene in the book is her going around, making others feel good, giving them hope, helping support them, having conversations with people. Beautiful. It is not this happy kumbaya moment where everyone starts like, "Oh my god, Katniss, are you here to fight for us? We need you." And then they all just salute her and make her feel good about herself. No, that's not what's happening. She feels good about herself at the end of it. Sure. But because she had conversations and all of them were like, "No, don't blame the situation for where we are, whatever." She has meaningful conversations. It's not some weird 3 people say something vague and then they salute her and it's kumbaya and Katniss now has the pride to be able to go fight and save the land of Panem. No. That is not what the hospital scene is. Did we have the same problem?
No, my problem was, and this I think is very particular. No, but I agree with you actually, because I think if we had more time for her to actually go bed to bed and see people and honor everyone who's in there.
And hey,
my problem with the hospital scene.
You want to know something, Steven?
The fact that
Steven.
Sorry, Sebastien, he just froze. I'm waiting for him to unfreeze.
Yeah, no, I'm back. Are you back? Nope,
Yeah, I'm
you're
back. You
frozen.
back?
Oh, wait, no, you had frozen on my end. Shit, this is not going well. Are you still there? Nope, he's frozen. Oh no. Steven?
He froze again.
Steven, come back.
He's frozen.
Wait, no.
Can you hear me
Shit.
at least? Can you hear me?
Steven!
I hear you. I
Steven,
see
we're
you.
so close
I
to
see
finishing
you're
the
there.
episode. Come back! Wait,
I'm
are you back? Yes, you're back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's pick this up again. Hey, you want to know something, Steven?
What?
They had the time to do this scene. If they didn't show us planes being boarded, taking off, and flying for like 8 separate minutes of this film.
True. What I'm saying is there's a moment when somebody asks about the baby and she goes, "Oh, I lost the baby," as if that was her idea. Plutarch's the one who comes up with the idea that tell people that she lost the baby.
Oh, yeah, sure. I glossed
And I
over
think-
that because I was pissed at Kumbaya.
Fair. So then they start going back home. They're like, "We got great stuff to show." Then we cut to a scene with President Snow again. Book, film only, because
Film only.
Snow's
Film
not
only.
in this part of the book, and Snow's like seeing Katniss in 8, some images, and he's like, "Send bombers there now." Now I have an issue with this. The bombing of 8 is supposed to be a regularly scheduled event. It is not supposed to be Snow just being like, Katniss is there, let's kill her.
Yeah.
I
But
think it makes
that being said, oh boy, to set up film version of Snow, right? And we have to agree that at this point, film version is different than book version. This is just the case. It's just, and that's always going to be the case with any adaptation. But we are at a point in this series where I think we can clearly say that film Snow and book Snow are just two different characters.
I just think that Snow wouldn't be that stupid.
No.
13 wouldn't be that stupid. But 13 themselves would know there would be cameras that would show 8. 13's not that stupid. They would have ensured that Snow could not have seen Katniss there.
Yeah, no, but I do agree with what you're saying, but then at the same time, right? Like what you're saying in terms of 13 wouldn't be that stupid. They would know that there are cameras in 8, right? But what I'm saying is that it does set up the evilness of film Snow very well. To where,
Fair.
in that scene, you have him have that conversation. They're like, go kill her. And then he very clearly states, no, go kill the wounded, go kill the ill, like bomb the hospital. It sets up film Snow. And like film Snow, book Snow, two very different characters. Other characters still like a decent amount of crossover and like, the lines are blurred. I feel like for Snow, we are at a point where the two versions of Snow are very different. They're just very different, and that's okay. And that's just where we're at. There's no point in getting upset about that anymore because, like, we're just here. We might as well accept it. We might as well move on, right? But I think it does a very good job, this scene, to set up film Snow very well for the rest of this movie and possibly the next movie as well.
So the bombs are going to hit. I have an issue where the bombs hit in multiple times in this film. Not just these bombs, but later bombs.
Great.
So they're walking in the film, they're walking back and they get the first bomb and they run in to hide for cover. In the book, they're walking back to get news there's going to be a bomb, and Boggs protects Katniss from the first explosion. In the film, that doesn't happen. Gale also protects her from the second. She's supposed to get shrapnel in her leg as well, so she's supposed to get really injured. That doesn't happen. But the basics of it is bombs go off, Gale and Katniss go off to the roof, and they go to try to shoot down the planes with Parlor. They're trying to get the bombers down before they blow up the hospital.
Yeah.
Which, that's true. The thing that bothers me, this is what bothers me about this scene. And I mean, there's a couple of things. Number one, Cressida and the insects don't follow Katniss and Gale onto the roof. They're supposed to shoot them doing this, and that's what gives Katniss the reason to like them. She doesn't like them at first, but she starts to like them because she goes, wow, they're brave enough to follow me and Gale onto a roof to like into a war zone, basically.
Yeah.
She also rips out her communication with Haymitch, which pisses Haymitch off to no end because Haymitch is trying to get her to not. So he gets really, really mad at her. We'll explain what he threatens in the next... Well, we'll explain it now. Basically, in the next part, he threatens Katniss. I will surgically implant this into you if you do not keep this in.
Yeah. And Katniss just goes, I could tell he was not lying.
Yes. For the first time. So they go on top
For
of
the first time of him
shoot
being
down.
sober, he was telling the truth.
Exactly. So they go down to shoot the planes. Now, they call it shooting geese in the books because there's 7 ships and they're supposed to be in a V formation.
Yeah,
There was only 2. There's only 2 in the film.
Wish, and this is something where I don't know, and I would be interested to know. These planes, are they CGI? Are they real planes?
CGI definitely have to be.
They might not be. Right?
Fair.
They might not be. In the sense that they may have taken the shots of the planes somewhere else, doing the cool tricks and the spins and the loops and everything like that, and then implemented them into this scenery.
Yeah.
Sure. But they might not be. If they are CGI, I do not understand why you don't just have 7 planes like that. Such a cool analogy in the book, how they're able to just get up and just yell geese, and they immediately know how they're aiming and who they're aiming for in the situation. Like, all of this is explained through Katniss's thought of mind in the book. But like, she and Gale have been hunting for so long together, they just understand this system. They have worked out a system to where the two of them will never at the same time be aiming at the same plane or at the same goose. Because why waste an arrow, right? Makes complete sense. I wish we could have seen that. If these were in fact real planes that then they took and then put into this film setting that they filmed, I do understand of maybe why there's only 2, because they only had the budget to get 2 planes. Fine, whatever, right? But it's something that I don't know. My guess is that they're most likely CGI planes, but it's also the early 2010s. So like, CGI was still very much being used and quite popular, but still isn't what it is from about like 2015 onwards.
Yeah.
Like, 2015 onwards, I feel like CGI like really blew up and things really started becoming like beautiful, beautiful CGI. When done well.
Yeah. So like I said, in the book, she's supposed to have a leg injury. So she misses her first shot in the book. And so she has to stand on this leg injury. But we can't have leg injuries in the Hunger Games series. PETA. Because, leg injuries are bad. PETA. So they shoot down the 2 ships in the film. And they land in the area and basically blow 8 the smithereens, kind of. Katniss is responsible for some of the damage in 8, as well as the bombers.
Look, but that's something that isn't Katniss's fault. Her other option was not shoot down one of these bombing planes.
I'm just saying. So then Katniss goes down to the wreckage and she sees the fire. She gets really emotional. And Cressida films her and her big speech. It's the same as it is in the book. It gets to the same point. She says she has a message for President Snow. She's saying, if we burn, you burn with us. And that is perfect. And the only thing that I have issue with is Cressida doesn't go, cut, because I'm like, it is still a film. Like, they are still filming. I love that Cressida says cut. They kind of just ignore that fact. And it kind of brings everyone back to normal when she says cut. Also, that is basically the end of part 1. That is the end of our first part.
So we're ending this episode.
So so Katniss Everdeen, the girl who was on fire, is in the middle of fire. A fire, and she's saying, "You were born with us, Snow," and that is where we're ending our episode. So in the next part,
just establish how baller of a line that is? By the way, just if we burn, you burn with us.
Oh yeah,
like, hey, we might wipe off the population of humans on this earth, but if we do, you're coming to.
So thank you so much for watching this episode. We're really excited to finish Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 in the next one. At the end of Part 1, you hear our thoughts on just this film, specifically as an adaptation of half the book. When we get to Part 2, that's when we'll talk about whether we believe it should have been 2 parts and other stuff like that. But we are just focusing solely on Mockingjay for this next part. But thank you. Hope you join us next week. Anka, you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, join us next week. We're going to be finishing off part 1 of the Mockingjay films and the first roughly half of the book, I would say. It's roughly half the book.
Roughly half.
Where they end this film is roughly halfway through the book, so well done to them. Yeah, other than that, just thank you so much for all of the support, and be sure tell a friend about the show. It really does help us out a ton. So thank you everyone who does this, and we'll see y'all next week.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and don't be afraid to follow us on Patreon either and support us.
Yes, and something that Stephen and I have not been mentioning recently, but we have mentioned it, so it is important to start saying this again. If we hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, Stephen and I will do the Twilight series. Not because either of us are excited to do the Twilight series, but because we understand that Twilight was a major, major thing when we were growing up as well. And we thought it would be fun and potentially an enticing thing for you, the listeners, if you want to hear us. And our thoughts on the Twilight series, who knows? We might like it, but there's only one way to do that, and that's to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening on another podcast app, it would do a big favor if you just go and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You don't have to watch the videos on YouTube. Just listen to wherever you listen to the podcast. It's greatly appreciated, but that's how we're keeping track in terms of what we do in terms of numbers. But yeah, thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Hello, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of Flip the Scripts. Flip the Scripts is created, hosted, and produced by Ankit Madhira and Stephen Nieman. Our editor is Sebastien Hollich, the art is by Kshitija Madhira, and the music is by Sebastien Hollich. If you like the video, you can click to listen to the next part, or if it's not out yet, you can find one of our previous episodes.
Or if you want to check out some of our other content, here's a fun video from another one of our shows.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment, and hit that bell icon to get notified of all of our content when it releases.
Subscribe to our Patreon if you want bonus content.
Links to all of our social media and Patreon are in the episode description down below.
Thank you for supporting our content. Come back next week for more shenanigans from Co-op Forge.
New episodes for Flip the Scripts release every Friday, Seattle Across the Pond every other Thursday, and post finale every Wednesday. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye now.